الحمد لله رب العالمين ولا عقبة للمتقين ولا عدوان إلا على الظالمين وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله وصلى الله عليه وعلى آله وأصحابه وسلم أما بعد. Alhamdulillah, we welcome you all by the permission of Allah Jalla wa'ala back to our Arabic tryouts. We've reached up to Al-Yawm al-Thamin, which is the 8th day of the Arabic tryouts. Alhamdulillah, so far we didn't cover about 9 letters, okay? We covered 9 letters, the Huruf al-Hijaiyya, the Arabic alphabets. We have started from the beginning of the Arabic alphabet from Aleph all the way up into Dal. Alright? But today, as you see on the board, we're going to put some of that to practice. Okay? Like what I asked you guys to do in your homework and exercises, what I would like for you guys to do is see a real live demonstration of learning to utilize the letters you have already learned, okay, so far within the Arabic tryouts. We covered 9 letters in total. All right. If you were doing your homework, you should be able to recite the 9 letters as well as write the 9 letters and pronounce the 9 letters. So you should be able to do them organized from the front all the way into the 9th letter if you have been diligent in doing it. If not, you still should be able to have 7 of them or 5 of them if you don't have the total 9 of them, okay? Meaning you still have to do some work on what we covered so far. So if you look at here, we're going to identify letters that we have covered from the first 9 letters, all right? That's going to be the exercise for today. Sort of what so we're not going to move on to the next 2 letters, all right? We're not going to do Ra and Zay, okay, today. We're going to do mostly the exercise, all right? So if you remember, we covered those 9 letters. The first letter of the Arabic alphabet that we covered so far was which letter? If you are able to put in the comment section which is the beginning letter of the Arabic alphabet. Who can tell me the beginning letter of the Arabic alphabet? What is it called? Ahsant. It is called Aleph. Alright, the beginning alphabet is called Aleph. Okay. What is the next letter in the Arabic alphabet? What letter comes after Aleph? Naam, Aleph is correct. What letter comes after Aleph? Ahsant, the letter Ba. The letter Ba. What letter comes after the letter Ba? What letter comes after the letter Ba? So we got Aleph, we got Ba, but what letter comes next? Ahsant, the letter Ta. What letter come after the letter Ta? What letter come after the letter Ta? Tha. The letter Tha. Ahsant. So after the letter Tha, which letter we're going to write next? Naam, Ahsant. Tha is the letter. Correct. After the letter Tha, which letter comes next? Ahsant, the letter Jeem. Alright, so when you write it in phonetics, remember to write it as Jeem to make it understood as Jeem and not Jim. Okay, because it's not Jim. Remember we were talking about the phonetics. It's important because when you read the phonetics, sometimes if we read it in English, we won't know how to pronounce it in Arabic. Okay, so the letter is Jeem. Ahsant, the letter is Jeem. What letter at the letter Jim? Okay, I see someone went ahead of us. They mentioned the letter Ha. So the letter Ha comes after the letter Jim. Okay, the letter Ha comes after the letter Jim. What letter comes after the letter Ha? What letter comes after the letter Ha? Who can tell me which letter is that? So we all way up to Jim. Okay. What's after the letter Jim? We got Ha. And this would be nice if you guys are doing this from memory, and especially for those who have been following the Arabic tryouts and you learned Arabic from this program. That'd be even more excellent, rather, that'd be excellent, All right, so the letter Kha, you're correct, the letter Kha. All right, so what's the next letter after the letter Kha that we covered? What is the next letter after the letter Kha? The next letter after the letter Kha is what? Dal. Ahsant. It's the letter Dal. What's the next letter after the letter Dal? What is the next letter after the letter Dal? Ahsant. What's the next letter after the letter Dal? We have what letter after Dal? All right, it's not going to be written the same. All right, and they're not two D's. One is Dal, and another one is what? What is that letter? Make this a little bit bigger. There you go, that's bigger. Which letter is? I'm waiting to see it. What letter at the Dal? Because this is where we stopped at. All right, it will be the 9th letter after the letter Dal. This is what we covered so far in the Arabic tryouts. Which letter would it be? It would be the letter Dhal. Dhal. All right, it's a TH. It would be the letter Dhal. Is written exactly the same way. The only difference is it has a dot. We're not out the neck. We're not out. We are not out of. We're not at the fire yet, just yet. All right. So now that we got all 9 letters, okay. The letter Aleph comes from where? Where do the letter Aleph come? You can write it up there. Where do the letter Aleph from? You can say the name that you know, or you can say exactly where it comes from. You can write it up there. Where do the letter Aleph come from? Just let us know. Review is always good because it's let us know to make sure we've been paying attention to the classes so far. It also allowed the teacher to know that, alhamdulillah, that he's that people are actually understanding what's getting. So it's kind of reward for the teacher, okay, to make him know that he's not doing it pretty much just frivolously. It's people benefiting. Yes, the Aleph comes from the Jof. But what if I don't know what the Jof is? The Jof is the emptiness of the mouth. Ahsan. It's the empty of the mouth to the back of the throat. So the Aleph comes from the Jof. That's correct. Where do the letter Ba come from? The letter Ba comes from where? Where do the letter Ba come from? Correct. We said the Jof. Ahsan. Where do the letter Ba come from? The letter Ba come from where? Ba. Ba. Where do Ba come from? Where did we explain Ba come from? It comes from the where? So when you say it, you should feel it. Ba. Ba. Ahsant. It comes from the lips. It comes from the lips, which is a shafatain. It's a shafatain. Okay? Okay, where do Ta come from? Ta, ahsant. Where do Ta come from? Ta come from where? Ta, ta, ta. Where did we learn that ta come from? Ta come from where? Ta come from the what? Ta. Ahsan. Ta come from al-lisan, the tongue. Ta come from the tongue. Good. Where do tha come from? Tha come from where? Where do tha come from? Yep. Al-lisan, it comes from the tongue. Where do tha come from? Same place. Tha come from the same place. It's just a different position of the tongue protruding to the mouth. So ahsan. So it comes from al-lisan as well. So we just put an arrow here to let us know. Now what about jim? Where do jim come from? Where did we say that jim come from? All right. Jim come from where? Also, we learned that jim comes from where? It follows on. It comes from the tongue, but the center of the tongue. All right. The center of the tongue. There will be two other letters that also comes from this place. And one of those letters, as long as it's not a med, it's not acting as a med, then it comes from the center of the tongue. Jim. What about ha? Where do ha come from? Where do ha come from? Okay. Ha come from where? And by the way, it is not ha. It's not ha. If you say ha, you're not saying it correctly. Where do ha come from? Ahsant. Ha come from the throat. All right. And specifically, we mentioned which part of the throat. As a bonus, who can tell me which part of the throat do ha come from? Which part of the throat? All right. So it does come from al-halq. All right. This was the tongue, center of the tongue. This comes from al-halq. Which part of the throat does it come from? La, not the back. The back of the throat, we learned other two letters, which was the hamza and the other hab, we didn't cover. So, if it doesn't come from the back of the throat, it comes from where? It comes from the middle of the throat. All right. There are three positions to the throat: the front, the back, and the middle. All right. So how many positions are there to the throat? Front, middle, back. At the front, we got two letters. One of these letters from the non-letters is going to be on there. At the middle, we got two letters. One of these letters from the non-letters is going to be in there. And we got two letters in the back, but we haven't covered those letters yet. We mentioned hamza, so let's just say the hamza comes from the back. All right. So from the middle, we have ha. All right. There's another letter with ha that we didn't cover yet, so I'm not going to bring that up. All right. From the front is the letter after what? Where do the letter kha come from? It comes from the throat, and it's from the front. Kha. Okay. Kha. It's from the front of your throat. Khalid. From the front of your throat. And they say it's like a little scratching sound. Kha. All right. Front of your throat. Now, what about dal? What about dal? Dal comes from where? Al-lisan. It comes from the tongue. All right. Dal comes from the tongue. Dal comes from where? Dal comes from where? Dal comes from the tongue also. But again, it shares the same makhraj as ta. Meaning they both protrude, the tip of the tongue protrude through the top teeth. That's dal. Nam. Alhamdulillah. Now these are the non-letters. We know their points of articulation, where they come from. Now the exercise, what we're going to do today, is we're going to look at Surah Al-Fatiha. All right. Now the point of learning the different forms of each of the letters besides Aleph and besides Dal and Dal, because those three letters we learned they do not connect from the front. Right? So we learned that they don't connect from the front. That means we made them naughty letters. That is Aleph, Dal, and Zal are 3 letters that doesn't have a beginning form, nor does it have a middle form. So they're going to connect from behind. All right, so we're going to look in Al-Fatiha to find the letters we have already covered within the non-letters. This will be an excellent exercise, and this will also give us to identify and how to utilize the connecting letters. Okay, so let's look at, first and foremost, the first thing, the Basmalah. It's not the first verse. I don't hold the opinion that it is the first verse, even though in this Mus'haf they mention it that it is the first verse. There's a difference amongst the ulama. This is not that class, and we're not going to go over that. If you're in the Fatiha course, inshallah ta'ala, we will cover that issue as far as which one will be the correct view of the Basmalah being the first verse or not. So this is not that time. All right. So when we look at the Basmalah, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, what is the first letter that we see? All right. We don't have to know the vowels. We're looking for letters. Can you see it clearly? What is the first letter? Write the first letter that you see in this verse here. I mean, not verse, but in the Basmalah. Write the first letter. Let me erase this over here. Remember, we got 9 letters. Fix this. All right, back to go. What's the first letter that we see? Now it's time to put it to use. What is the first letter? And if you can't see the board, please say you can't see the board so I can move up the camera so we can make sure, or I have to make it larger so that we can actually see. All right. The first letter, Ahsant, is not B-I, even though we know, and I don't want nobody to give away far as if you do know the harakat. All right. Yeah, that is a harakat, but the purpose of this exercise is to identify the letters, not the harakat. So the I sound will be a kasra, but that's not what we're worried about. But B is correct. You're correct. Ba. It's called ba. That letter is ba. All right. And what type of ba is it? It's a what ba? It's a beginning ba. Okay. It's a beginning ba. All right. Okay. What else do we see next going down the line? All right. Okay. When we go down the word, what else do we see? Because we didn't cover most of some of these letters, but some of these letters we did within the Basmalah. So we did cover the ba. That's correct. What else do we see? All right. What's the next letter that we see? Ahsan, beginning. Who can tell me the next letter that we see? All right. We're going past all of these. We're going past all of them. Here in these cases, those olives that look like olives to you, they are Hamza to Wasu. All right. So they join and connect over. So you're not going to say them as olive by themselves. Okay. They're going to connect over. So we're not going to worry about them. But what about after this? What letter is this? All right. What letter are these two? Because we covered them. What letters are them? Who can tell me? And they are beginning what? Or middle? Or ending? Who know what letters are this? What letter is this? All right. No, not Hamza. Not Hamza. What letter is it? Who can tell me? Who's able to see? Do you need me to blow it up more? All right. Let me go down a little bit. Okay, I blew it up some more so we can see. What letter is that? Ahsan. Somebody said kha. Okay, we got to work on it. Remember, the distinguishing between kha is that it's going to have a dot. There is no dot on top of that. You're close, but not. Ha is correct. Somebody said ha. They're correct. So what type of ha is that? That is a beginning ha. Okay, that is a beginning ha. All right, let's look at this again. It's a beginning ha. Ha. Correct. It's a beginning ha. Now, let's move to the next verse. All right. We only doing the letters that we covered. Ahsant. We only doing the letters. Oh, we didn't do raw yet. So we didn't cover raw. So don't mention raw. We didn't do raw yet. So I'm not going to mention. Only the letters that we covered so far was the non-letters when we did it earlier. Aleph all the way up to Dal. So we're not looking at any other letters but those non-letters. Okay. So make sure we have it. Let's look at the second verse if we can. Well, not second verse, the first verse to the opinion I take. All right, so let's look at this verse. What do we see? The first letter is a what? Nah, mashallah. No problem. The first letter is a what? This letter will be an aleph, okay? Even though we're going to have a hamza tawasul, so they're connected over. But what is this letter? We just did it. That's a letter what? Ha. What about this letter here? We should know this letter. What letter is this? All right? This letter is something. All right? That's ha. But what letter is this? After this letter, we didn't cover this letter yet, so don't say it. If you're a little bit advanced already, you know this letter, don't worry about that. All right, we didn't cover this letter. What letter is that? Ahsan, somebody said it. That's a dal, ending dal. That's a dal. Ahsan, ending dal. All right, ending dal. We should know what this one is. It's simple for us. That letter after this letter becomes what? A letter ba. All right. It's simple. We should know that. It's a letter ba. Now, what letter within this letter that we know, that we cover from the non-letters? Not if you already know Arabic alphabets. I'm talking about if you're following this program, the Arabic Tryouts, and you are with us, what letter should we know from the last word? What letter in there that we should know? All right? I know you might want to say Aleph. However, remember again, like we said, the aleph here is going to become silent because it's a hamza tawasul. All right, it's going to connect rabbil. You don't even see the aleph after that. Okay, so moving on to the next verse. What letter do we have in there from the non-letters? We should already know because we did it. That first letter being A. Ahsan, dal is correct. Dal is correct is from this here. All right, and if it seemed like I'm moving a little bit fast, it's because I know the letters we didn't cover so far. So I don't want you to focus on those letters. I only want you to focus on the non-letters we covered. All right. So here we have what? We have a ha. Another ha again. So we have another ha. All right. No more letters in that word we covered. We haven't covered the other letters so far. Same thing here. We have another ha like in the Basmalah. Okay. Now let's look about this. See if there's any letters we cover from the non-letters that's in this verse here. Okay, you can't see? Hold on, let me blow it up. All right, see this verse? See if there's any letters from the non-letters that we can find in here. Which letter is it? Are you able to see now? We're talking about this verse here. Any letters you see so far that we covered from the non-letters. Somebody said dal. Ahsan, that's correct. Ahsan, that's correct. So we covered the letter dal. All right, that is from the non-letters. Okay, that's not a beginning dal. All right, but that's the letter dal itself. Okay, remember dal is a naughty letter. It doesn't have a beginning form. It doesn't connect. Okay. Now, let's move to the next verse because there's no more letters in that verse that we covered from the non-letters. All right. Okay. What letter from this verse that we covered? What letter from this verse that we covered? If you can see it. I move it a little bit because I think you can't see the end of it there. There you go. From this verse here, what letter did we cover? From the 9 letters. All right. It's quite a few. From the 9 letters, it's quite a few. What letters? Okay, somebody said a dal. That's correct. There is a dal in there. We covered that. What else? Did somebody mention a middle ha? I don't see a middle ha in this word here. We on this verse here. Not up here. Not up top here. But here. I don't see a middle ha. We haven't covered a middle ha. Somebody said aleph. Yes, we do have an aleph here. And this word and that word. There are 2 alephs. The one that comes in front are an aleph. Do not say that they are aleph. If you meant that, you're incorrect. But if you're talking about this that comes after that letter here, then these are alephs. These ones here are known as hamza. They are hamza. They are not aleph. Okay, so don't confuse that. Okay, you see the hamza at the bottom is not an aleph. The aleph is silent. You don't say it. Okay, so that's not that. But the aleph is here. So these are the alephs. Okay, correct. All right. So somebody said aleph. Alhamdulillah. So we do have an aleph. Let me move that out your way. I see something else from the 9 letters. What else do we see from the 9 letters in this word? See if you can point it out. What other letter? From the 9 letters, what other letter that we have? All right. Somebody already said ba. Somebody already said dal. Someone said aleph. That's correct. What other letter? There's one more letter. Do you see it? One more letter. One more letter in this jumla. In this sentence, what is it? Okay. Let's try to help you out here. I'm not going to say what it is. I want to see if you can tell. The letter comes in this word. The last word of the sentence. One of these letters is from the 9 letters we covered so far. Alhamdulillah. All right. Which letter it is? Is it delay? Or is some difficulty here? All right. What did we tell you? All you got to do is count the dots. Count the dots. All right. We gave you some encouragement and some easy ways and methods to remember. If we look at this letter right here, how many dots does it have on top? It have 2 dots. All right. Ahsan, that's correct. It's a middle ta. I have 2 dots. So we know that this letter we covered. That's from one of the 9 letters we covered. That's ta. Ahsan. And it's a middle ta. It's a middle ta. Okay. Let's move on. We'll do the next verse before we stop. All right. I'm not going to do the whole Al-Fatiha, but I think you get the point of the exercise. Let's move up. We're going to do this verse here. All right. And it is only one ha. Okay. Nope. There are 2 letters from the 9 letters in this jumla. Okay. Who can tell me what they are? The 2 letters from the 9 letters in this jumla, in this sentence. Move this over here. Okay. Who can tell me what they are? Somebody said, oh, all right, I think that's from the, what's the name? Okay, yep, that's 2. So who can tell me in this We on this sentence. What are the two letters that from the non-letters that are in this sentence? This is not an aleph. All right? Don't say that. This is not an aleph. Yes, it is an aleph. No, it's not. Because it's a fi'lu amr. And it's going to be something that goes at the end of that. It's a hamza. So don't say it is an aleph. It's not an aleph. All right? Nope. Yes. So there are three letters. Dal. Somebody was correct. Dal. All right? Dal is one of them. What else do we see? Okay. If you want to count hamza, guess we did it in the first. We did it in the first class, day one. Yom wahid. Okay. What others? Did somebody say an aleph? We have an aleph here. All right. We should have one more letter from the non-letters. All right. What's at the end? Yep. At the end here we have an aleph. Yep. But what letter in this one here, sort of like we learned up there, it should be easy, is what? That's a letter what? Remember again, if it's two dots, it's going to let us know that it's a ta, a middle ta. It's a middle ta. Now, what I did with this, and the reason why I chose to do this is so that we could do a live demonstration of how I would like you guys to go into the Quran and start identifying the letters that you learned from the Arabic tryouts. All right? And as we advance more, the more letters we learn, the more exercises we can do. And once we get to get the full package as far as how to put the vowels in and all of the extra stuff, we're going to start reading. So we'll do reading exercises and we'll start breaking down words. But for now, you have to crawl before you walk. So you want to get yourself familiar with identifying letters because of the way that they are written. All right? The more you look into the Mus'haf, the stronger your Arabic will be. Trust me on this. The more you look into the Mus'haf, the more you look into the Arabic Quran, the more your Arabic the stronger your Arabic will become. Okay? It's going to get stronger. And you're going to start identifying those letters fast. It's not going to be short. You're going to process it fast. In the beginning, you might don't process it fast because you still got to, search through it. But you will process them fast, inshallah. All right? So inshallah ta'ala, the next tryouts, we will do the next two letters, which is Ra and Zay. Forgive me, we took a time out to do like a little bit of review and an exercise. So tomorrow, inshallah ta'ala, we will do Gadan. We should do the next two letters. Subhanakallahumma bihamdik ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. Jazakallahu khairan. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.